always been within this arrangement where the very day the election ends and the new executive is sworn in, same day the new arrangement for incoming administration begins its process. And so in line with that kind of practice that we have given to ourselves, it is nothing new to say that it's just witnessing the political distractions. Even when he too was angling to become governor, I'm aware 2 years into the administration of the then governor, Emmanuel Udouan, he too was going around doing political engineering and consultations before it eventually emerged. And so if he feels strongly that most of his cabinet members are neck deep into political activities rather than concentrate on governance, as it were, in the state, and it ultimately affected service delivery, it is within his right to so do. He is the one that hired them in the first instance, and so he will choose to have hired them if he wishes, just like he has done. It's okay to enable them have enough time to go about their political activities rather than come and distort or create some kind of confusion within the confines of governance. It's within his right to so do. Okay. So I don't see anything wrong in that.
Okay, if you're listening to us, remember you can watch us live on our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Rize FM Radio. You see the post there. Drop a comment and let us get the conversation going. We'll see how we take all of your comments on our Facebook page, and also maybe at some point on the show we open the phone lines in the studio here, so you can also join us on the conversation. But of course, we still stay with the political development in Delta State. Reverend Louis Flabi, you listen carefully to the analysis of Sir Matthew Ichekure, but from your own point of view, I'm sure it's not possible that is all members of the cabinet that are jostling for the office in 2023. So would you say it is because of some individuals that the governor have decided to sack everybody, or you think maybe the governor is also playing his own game towards who become the governor in 2023?
In politics, anything is possible as long as interest is paramount. It could be that he wants to make sure he clears everybody of the scene and then begin anew and see a true picture of what he wants to achieve. That could be what he may be doing. On the other hand, I would also accede to what your own position, that it could be he is also playing his own card. Because as it were, I'm sure a lot of people are handling also to come into office as either as commissioners or as SA, as PA, as EAs, whatever is and the E's are available within the system. So he may also want to bring them in so that they can have a little shot of whatever others have eaten, so that others can also have a share of it. You know, politics is about interest. It could be that when he came in, he couldn't accommodate everybody. He has accommodated these ones for 2 years and is moving into the last 2 years. So let this set of people come into and have a little of the cake that they are sharing. That's my take.
Because when you use the word accommodate, I wanted to go to the issue what looked like cake, because one would have expected that when you were appointed commissioner, you are appointed SA, it's because you have some value you want to give to governance in the state and not a medium through which you enrich yourself. So are you saying, I don't know, that these positions are just means of enrichment and tapping into the resources of the state and not necessarily for the good governance of the state? As a result, you need to keep sharing the cake?
Like you have said time and again on your program here and on other platform that I've had to speak, that the SA, the EA and so much, they are too much. If it's about governance, you don't need those amounts of persons. It's about governance, but it's about making sure everyone who one way or the other help in bringing about the government take a part of it. And as I've said time and again, without any fear of favor, that the only investment we have in Delta State is politics.
Okay, just hold your thoughts there. Chief, I'll bring you into the conversation. take you now by one of the posts you made on Facebook concerning this issue. You said, and I'm paraphrasing now, that it's a good strategy if you're sacking your cabinets and your commissioners because you want to do an evaluation, performance evaluation. That was the word you used. That would have been nice. But that if it's for the other reason, then it's a sour taste. Are you saying that this time around, Governor Ifeanyi Okowa has not done this for proper performance evaluation, but rather for political gains?
Yes, absolutely. I think there is an oceanic quantum of ignorance, both on the part of the government and the part of the people. You see, it is a generally accepted definition of insanity to be doing a thing over and over and over again and expect a different result. For crying out loud, this is sad. This is the middle of the second term of a governor. We should still be talking about what has he been able to deliver. Mid-game. He still has 2 years to run. Have the dividends of democracy been delivered? What should be on the table now is what has he done and what can he still do? You see, the problem we have in this country and indeed in Delta State is that we do not understand that there are 2 departments in public service. One of them is the skill to gain power, and the other is the skill to deliver the dividend of democracy to the people. We just focus on one. Now, if for crying out loud the governor says that he is sacking his cabinet because he doesn't want distraction, which means he has started seeing early signs of distraction. But I tell you, if there is anybody distracting anybody, the governor is the major distractor, because indeed the governor is at the power steering of deciding whether or not there is a gentlemanly agreement to rotate or not. So the argument is back and forth. The governor's body language has indicated that he's actually much more interested in the outcome of 2023 than any other person. In which case, if his argument goes for anything, he should step aside because he will be distracted from delivering the dividend of democracy. So the point I'm making in essence is that we are all missing the point altogether. We have 365 times 2 days for him. He made promises to us, and he took oath that he was going to ensure that the welfare of the people, protection of lives, security of our property, and providing an enabling environment for us to thrive will be his ultimate goal. He has just gone halfway. This is a mid-game. And now, you see, the truth of the matter is that government is like a football match. If you field 11 players and you don't have time to look at the players, look at their department, bring a midfielder based on your reading of the game, does it then mean that nobody's reading this game? You don't remove everybody at once. You see, you just 2 people. You may think that, okay, maybe the person I put in communication will be better in another department.
Barrister, are you saying that by removing everybody, it speaks more to politics than tactics?
Absolutely. You see, the truth of the matter is that you and I know that it will be bizarre, it will be insanity for a team to be playing a football match. Okay, and that team is the technical advisors are reading the game, and suddenly the technical advisor decides to change the entire players and bring in a new player.
What if according to the rule of the game,
yes,
the technical advisor has the power to remove everybody and just bring in
yes, if he does, it shows that he was bereft of knowledge in the first place. Simple. It's an indictment on his part that he chose 11 players who could not fit into the ball. Then he should be sacked. So his judgment was poor, and that is the reason why we find, everybody's complaining that things are not working.
Okay. Let me just allow those listening to us now to be part of the conversation in the studio. Apart from the fact that you can go to our Facebook page as facebook.com/Rize FM Radio for the development of the state and for the political stability of Delta State at its point in time.
First, before I answer 10 others, my heart goes to the family, particularly the wife and his children. May Allah grant him his peace. Now, to answer your question, first let me say clearly that this issue of jostling for 2023 is not peculiar to Delta State. It's not. It's all over the country. In fact, it started at the center, all right, where issues of wealth, particular zone or whatever, the next leader of the country was going to come from. Like I said in my opening, it's suddenly becoming a norm within the political class.
No, no, but you know what is making it a little bit interesting in Delta State is the fact that people are saying because of that, if not people, the governor came out and said because of that, he's sacking his entire cabinet. But President Muhammadu Buhari, the government at the center, has not sacked the entire cabinet because of 2023.
Now listen, everybody has their own style. If Buhari has his way, he will certainly have. In fact, there were rumors at some point late last year that the man, upon some security informations, got KPI on each of the ministers and were told that he was planning to hire most of those ministers. So it is a Nigerian thing, unlike what we have all elsewhere. It's a Nigerian thing. And so don't be surprised that this kind of thing are happening. To the question you asked as to whether the governor is behaving as if he's suddenly a stranger to an existing agreement within.
No. I know I didn't ask that question, but okay. You may want to speak to that. What I said was whether or not what is going on now is good for the political stability and for governance in Delta State.
What?
This discussion of Delta Central or Delta South or any other place.
This rotation is healthy.
Listen, there is an existing, what you can call a gentleman's agreement. All right, that has been on in Delta since the inception of government in this state.
Between who and who?
From the beginning of the return of democracy in Delta State.
Was it a Delta State agreement or it was an agreement of a political party?
I have just told you that there is an existing agreement among the political practitioners in the state.
I like that.
We saw James Ibori emerging first. James Ibori was from Delta Central and handed over to a Delta South man named Dr. Emmanuel Udwan. And Emmanuel Udwan handed over to Ifeanyi Okowa, the current governor in Delta North. So there appeared to be an existing agreement, political agreement. And I believe it was on that premise that even when the governor made that unfortunate and reckless statement to the effect that he's not aware that there is an arrangement of that if there's any, somebody should remind him. And the first beneficiary of that system, in person of Chief James Ibori, responded to him clearly to say there is an agreement. There is an existing structure.
Okay, let me still stay with you. And because some people, if they want to speak to logic, they may not necessarily refer to the statement of the governor as reckless because you want to look at it. Is there any primary that has been conducted by the PDP that you may want to say it is even within the fold of the PDP that agreement exists? Is there any primary that has been conducted by the PDP for the governorship position that has not been contested by somebody in Delta Central?
2019.
No, listen. Even where I just mentioned within the political practitioners, okay, in PDP, the much I know is that there is an existing agreement, and even though there is an existing agreement, human nature is like that.
They still just for the position.
Even from central, even when it was obvious that a particular central district was supposed to produce the governor, the other areas also contested. They also struggled to be, but as it were, because of that understanding, the particular region that is supposed to produce it eventually emerged.
Okay, Chief, if you look at what Samati Shekere just explained, would it really be fair to say there's an agreement, there's an understanding, if somebody you're supposed to be having an understanding with is still looking for a way to get you out of the system, to get what you supposedly have an understanding on?
I would say there's an oligarchy in Delta State, within not even the entire PDP. There's an oligarchic few in PDP that decided that perhaps this arrangement will be suited for their own personal benefit. Now, they now arrange that X from this particular district will take. And you see, in doing this, they don't just talk about districts. They look at the district and also pick the person in the district. Now, there's a photograph that has been flying on the internet, on Facebook. The three people who have succeeded themselves, Ibori, Udwanga, and Okowa, were, snapped in a photograph in a public during a public gathering, to depict the fact that the baton was supposed to move from this to that. And so you see, the point is that let us understand that government is not an agreement by the oligarchy. It's an agreement by the people and the government. The people decided to surrender their sovereignty to a sovereign in exchange for the protection of their lives, property, and the protection of an enabling environment for them to thrive. Now, unfortunately or fortunately, these arrangements had occurred. And I remember one of the most frequent words by Okowa when he was going was, "On equity we stand."
Thank you.
Those were the things being brandished. That was the platform, the driver upon which he came. Anywhere you went in Delta North, then you will see billboard, "On equity we stand, on equity we stand," meaning that let's take turn by turn. And you see, it is quite unfortunate. Why I am attuned to that arrangement is not because the arrangement came from the majority of the people, but the arrangement appears to be a conflict management arrangement where certain senatorial districts will not be completely excluded from occupying that seat. And it will be unfair if you see that the whole argument started from having a particular ethnic group that was majority, that is still majority, the Robo ethnic group. In order not to have that ethnic group over dominate, this arrangement came that some other minority groups can have a shot at the seat. Now that you have tried to address that, it will be completely unfair for you to now to that same mischief you were trying to suppress by not preventing minorities from having the seats. You are now trying to build an argument for the majority when it's now the turn of the majority not to have it. It's very, very unfair because Delta Central started, Delta South took, and Delta North took. And as at the time when Okowa was vying for this position, I voted for him. I supported him because I believed in equity. And now, even though I'm not from Delta Central, I am going to vehemently, and I believe that every reasonable person should naturally support somebody from Delta Central because it was on the strength of that equity that Okowa became governor. And it is only fair that what is good for the goose should be held to be good for the gander. That is why I think.
I understand the argument that you have made for Delta Central, but I'm just trying to look at the issues or ask the question as somebody that is just fair or somebody that is neutral looking at this issue and try to play the devil's advocate. If Governor Okowa is saying that, see, take about 30 votes or maybe 60 votes from the vote I had in the primaries and give it to Edewe. Edewe should be the next governor of Delta State now, going by the primaries of the PDP the last time. Would you say Okowa is wrong now saying that anybody who is qualified, maybe if that is what he's saying, should also go and try if they can get it?
No, I have told you now that the only slogan I saw in Delta North during Okowa's period.
It's not a law.
It was not a law, but everybody was conscious about it. So what now happened to that consciousness? On equity, we stand. What happened to that consciousness? You see, let us not change the game in the middle of, change the goalpost in the middle of the game. The point I'm making is that it is only fair that people should have a sense of belonging. I don't have any particular person in Delta Central, but I believe that it will be unjust. In the first place, let us look at it. Democracy is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It's a game of majority. If we were allowed to throw the game open, Delta Central will always, if you want if you want to look at the political permutations in Delta State, there is no particular senatorial district can produce the governor. No, what I mean is this. You see, if we go back a little bit, it was the fear that Delta Central should not predominate. As a matter of fact, Delta Central, those people from Delta Central Central District were already boasting that they were going to perpetually rule. Now, and if you look at this state, those from Delta Central have ruled this state more than any other district. And it was the goodness of trying to arrange for a kind of balancing, some level of balancing, that this arrangement came to be. Because when it was allowed, look at every time it was thrown open, Delta Central always got it.
Okay.
And it was, I'm coming, let me make this point. Do not forget that the principal driver of this ideology was a person from Delta Center, and that is Governor Ibori. Governor Ibori is the architect. Former Governor Chief James Ibori.
Yes.
He was the architect. Now, you see, for somebody coming from that same region to say no, it was so easy for Ibori to have handed over, to have used his political powers to hand over to somebody from Delta Center. And that is one respect that I have for that man. So I believe that if he didn't do that and he sacrificed for the unity of this state, it is a betrayal of that trust, that sacrifice for anybody to now say that there's no gentlemanly agreement.
You're already speaking as if we are going into a politicking period, a campaign period, but we are not there yet. Samati Chikri, you wanted to add something.
Yes, I wanted to say that change, the only thing that is not permanent in this life is change. Even if you are advocating that, okay, we have gotten the first round, the first circle, let us begin anew. All right, let us begin anew by starting from the last. I'm just thinking aloud to say, okay, let us start from the last, from the last thing, rather than go to start from the first. It can be some argument, that somebody can give some little thoughts to. But even if you do that, like the last speaker just mentioned, it will amount to total betrayal of trust and in breach of equity that we all stand for. And don't forget that all of these ones is just to have a neat and smooth system of handing over power from one group to another. Because by the time you throw the thing open like that, the thing will be so chaotic that eventually we may end up not even having, government in the state. Because at the end of the day, people will try to be pulling strings from all sides of the divide. And so, in the wisdom of those people, they don't say, no, there's no point about that. We are all brothers, we are all sisters, we can do things together. And that needs to remain. I thought any reasonable person should key in, and that was why I used the word reckless and irresponsible of the governor to have said he's not aware that such a thing. I know I followed him. I followed during his early political campaign, political consultations. I followed him virtually around the state, and I know what he was saying at the time. In addition to what Chief just mentioned, all over the place he went to, he said, well, if A has got him, B has got him, it is only fair that he should get his own. And so for him to come out to say he's not aware, it's a reckless statement and very, very irresponsible.
Okay, Reverend Louis Fulabi, I'll allow you to get the final shot on this so we can move on the show. Where do you see all of these, ending? Do you think this may eventually play out for the good of the ordinary Deltan, and is likely to birth maybe a new political structure that may alter the existing structure in the state if things continue this way?
I doubt. Why do I doubt? You see, when you, like the two speakers have said, when you have this gentleman agreement, given the nature of Delta State, it's a political state that is so political, very, very political state. Like I said, the major investment here is politics. And so, being a political state, you must manage the political differences in such a way and manner that at the end of the day, number one, we can ensure peace. Even if we don't have money, even if we don't have abundance of whatever we are looking forward to, but let us ensure there is equity. And like they said, that was the language of the campaign of the incumbent governor. Even when Chief James Ibori joined him in the campaign in 2019, when it became tough, he still said at the Delta Central, when he went there, he spoke to his people and said, look, let's allow this arrangement to be. It will come to your turn very soon. So I believe that's me. I'm not from here, but as a person who is politically conscious of my environment, I speak as I see it, and I believe equity should remain.
What I am just saying is that, like you said, Chief James Ibori at the time spoke to its people and said, allow things remain, it's going to come to your turn very soon. But the question is, did his people listen to him and were they really patient to wait for it to come to
Majority of his people listen to him.
Hold on, sir. Within the PDP fold,
Yes,
they
majority-
listen
to
within the PDP fold, they listen to him. Look, let me tell you, in the day of the election, I voted at every roundabout. During the presidential election, almost everybody there voted for APC.
No.
Hold on. Let me tell you. Almost this is Delta Central. Almost everybody there voted for APC. But the same element, the same structure on the day of the governorship election, we were voting for PDP. So that means there was something. It was very unique. I must tell you. I voted at every roundabout. I noticed it. You can go and check the result from that unit. Compare the two. What I'm telling you, they voted for APC massively. But on the day of the governorship election, the same element, I watched them very well, very keenly. We're voting for PDP. That means
were you spying on the?
No, he had the result.
Hold on.
Now. The result.
We saw the result now. We saw people. We saw the vote. Okay,
that is a good place for us to end this the conversation, so we can move on, because time is not on our side. But remember, some of you are already dropping your comment on our Facebook page, and what Brown is saying is that I believe in rotation policy. They want to live in. Chief, you are the barrister here. Help us make sense of what Abubakar Malami is trying to say. Is it section 41, subsection 1 of the Constitution is trying to, bring into the conversation, and is animals included in that conversation in section 41?
Well, it is usually a very difficult task for you to critically evaluate the comments of a senior advocate of Nigeria, and what is more, the Attorney General of the Federation. But I beg to disagree completely with the trajectory of his thoughts for the following reasons. One, you see, whereas you have freedom generally guaranteed by the Constitution, African Charter on Human and People's Rights, United Nations Declaration of Rights, and what have you, but these freedoms are not absolute. Okay, there is no such thing as absolute. There is no such thing as absolute freedom. In the first place, we don't live in an absolute world. So your freedom stops where my own starts. We are talking about the costs of open grazing, namely the destruction of the livelihood of other persons, their crops.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Miss Flashu. How are you?
I'm fine, and how are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Solomon.
Okay,
Solomon from Airport Road.
Okay, Solomon, you are calling from Airport Road. Quickly.
Yes, there is quickly. I would want you guys to also discuss, because every time you discuss, it's wonderful hearing you guys here. But I have never seen you discussing. I'm not a robo man, but there is nowhere people have mentioned about the German being, governor of Delta State. What is wrong with that? Could you please speak on that issue? Thank you very much.
Okay, can you stay there, Solomon?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if you took note, that constituted a part of our discussion on the first part of the show, where we talked about whether or not anybody can vie for the governorship position, or the issue of the gentleman's agreement. And of course, that is why we also open the phone lines, so that people like you can call and also give us your thought on it. So from your own point of view, do you think that we must continue with the supposed agreement, or you think anybody, including an German, should vie for the position come 2023?
Yeah, because in my own opinion, you see, this is more political. It's people. Somebody has to come out there, and whether we like it or not, the jaw is part of Delta State, and I have never seen them. That is, if you look at Biafra, what's making Biafra to want to go out? Because they have never been given the chance to become the president of this country, and that is really painful to them. And so, and I'm sure any German listening now knows that they also deserve, a shot in the title of a governor. I listened from the beginning of the program. I always listen. So, and interestingly, I like the way you present, the way you defend, the way you cut people short and bring in the right words. So I think that issue should also be discussed, so that somebody from that.
I elect to come into this.
Okay.
You see, the point is that
just before you continue, we have another comment coming on our Facebook page, and it's coming from Joe Bio. Joe is saying that, why will power go to Delta Central? What about the Isokos?
Okay, now you see, the point is that, let us understand something. Where are we coming from? Where did we start from? Yeah. We started from a point where the direction of Delta State was always producing an robo man, as governor. And indeed, I have said that based on the political permutation, the robos were always turning out because...
Chief, if you can in 30 seconds, so we move on with what we are on before.
Good. But now we have 3 senatorial districts, okay? We decided to plot it on senatorial district basis. Now, Delta South has 3 ethnic groups, and only one can come out at once, not 2. Okay, the Ijos and the Isoko supported an Ishekiri man when it was Delta South's turn to produce, and it now left Delta South and went to Delta North. Now it's, if you are counting 1, 2, 3 in a circular form, you will say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So by that I mean Delta Central, Delta South, Delta North, Delta Center, Delta South, Delta North. That is the only logical way to do that, because in some of the senatorial districts you have more than one tribe, and in others you just have one tribe. So it's
okay.
it's
Hello,
it's just
evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, please. What is the name of where are you calling from?
Yes, I'm calling from Abuja. I'm listening to you on your website.
Oh,
yes.
beautiful.
This is Captain Paul speaking.
Captain
Yeah,
Paul.
good evening to everybody. Yes. Open the governorship for everybody, even where the governor is from. We are going around now. Let's give the hands to competent people to rule the state. Not about where you come from, where I come from.
Okay.
About development.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's good to know that people like you, Deltans, are in Abuja.
I wouldn't support any zoning arrangement anymore. Okay. There's no about development.
Okay.
Look at what it is today. What has zoning brought to it?
Okay.
Where is sitting there from?
Okay, if you can, just in 30 seconds. I said I like it that Deltans in Abuja like you are also listening to us on the show and also participating. And we're also looking for.
This one I'm in London, I listen to you very well.
Yes, I'll be looking forward to a time where you are in Warri so you can appear live on the show with us in the studio. Okay.
I look forward to that.
Okay, thank you very much.
I would like to, you see, the truth of the matter, I would like to attend to what he has just said. The truth is that it is not whether you zone or you do not zone that determines the development that comes. If you don't zone, it is the same political actors that are most powerful that will still turn out. In other words, let us look at it. Whether you are coming to Delta South, Delta North, or Delta Central, it is those who have the wherewithal and political muscle that will still emerge. So it is not whether you are zoning or not zoning that determines the delivery.
Okay, Chief, you know we are done with that issue. Let me allow Sir Matthew Ishekure and Reverend Louis Flabi to just give us the final shot. They can in 30 seconds each on the reaction of the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, to the ban on open grazing, especially when it came out and made a comparison of that and those who sell spare parts in the north, and that it is against the provision of the Constitution. Let me start with you, Sir Matthew Ishekure.
Well, I don't know the level of education the Honorable Minister of Justice has.
He's the senior advocate of Nigeria, and he's the number one law. He's the number one law officer.
Education.
I said I don't know the education.
San is an award.
San is an award, political as it were. Yeah. And so, if somebody is trying to, this is not the first time is misleading Nigerians. And I believe that not until this tenure will end, where we leave the office, Nigeria will continue to we have no chance to be contending with this kind of attitude that he has.
Okay, if you can in 30 seconds.
My dear, when I heard him say that thing, I just said, sorry for Nigeria, because this is the key player in this government, and no wonder this government is performing the way it's performing. For somebody like him to be the Attorney General, that's why the government is doing what.
Okay. I just want to do one last call before we go. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Can you hear me? Okay, so much we can take on the show today. Chief, I must thank you for your time. Reverend Louis Afolabi and Sir Matthew Ishekure. It's always...
I hope your producer will give you more time. You can see that.
We have never done anything yet.
It's always a wonderful moment having you guys here on the show. But those of you who listen to me, you know, this is what we want you to do. We want you to be part of the show. We want you to come in, bring your money into the show by way of sponsorship, partnership, and participation. So if you want to do any of that, you want to sponsor, you want to place your advert on this show, take advantage of the wide range of listeners we have, you want to do any of that, or you want to participate on the program, just call this number and myself and you will get a conversation started. The number you call is 081 0131 0269. I'll take it slowly again so you can get it. 081 0131 0269. So the moment you're calling me, we want to talk business as far as this show is concerned. But you know the experience we always want to create for you on the show is that the moment the show ends on air, it should still be ongoing on our Facebook page. So just go to our Facebook page, you'll see the entire video there. We can still keep the conversation going there. Just in case you don't know our Facebook page, it's facebook.com/Rize FM Radio. But until I come your way again next week, I am Laju Awala saying bye for now.